Have you ever laughed so hysterically at something so simple you were starting to get legitimately worried that you were losing your sanity or something? About what were you laughing so hard then? Me and two of my friends were working on a movie, but we messed up some files and accidentally replaced the black screen after a character's suicide with a panorama of cinnamon rolls. Cinnamon Voyage. I was in INSAT class and we were going over practice questions. The instructor read out a group of spoon collectors, and I began laughing so hard and for so long that I had to leave the classroom. I'm over it now, but it was troubling. A group of spoon collectors is known as a draw. Sometime in the mid to late aughts, my husband was on the phone with iRobot customer support regarding our Roomba. I was in another room, but I could hear his side of the conversation clearly, and I could tell he wasn't getting the results he'd hoped for. As he got more frustrated, he blurted out, "I've had problems with this robot since the day I brought it home." Something about that particular phrase just hit me hard. I immediately started laughing and couldn't stop. I was still laughing when he got off the phone. Understandably, he wanted to know what was wrong with me. Through maniacal laughter, I parroted the phrase back to him, which had something of a feedback loop effect on my laughter. It's been over a decade, but thinking of that phrase still makes me giggle. My husband was on the phone with Sparks 360 tech support back in 07 because one of the games he downloaded didn't work. He kept trying to tell the tech the name of the game, but the tech couldn't understand him. So he goes Streets of Rage. Rage. Like what I'm feeling right now. Exclamation mark. And my mom and I just cracked the duck up. We had tears coming out of our eyes. I don't know why it was so funny, but here we are 13 years later still cracking up about it. Misheard an episode of Octonauts about the coconut crab. The phrase astronaut crabs conjured simultaneous images of crabs in spacesuits and also giant crabs cracking open astronauts with their claws. And I absolutely lost it. I could hardly breathe. There were tears of mirth. My children were terrified, but also trying to keep up with the joke, which I could barely explain. We still talk about it, but it will never be quite as funny as when my brain caught me by surprise. Me and some friends went on a trip with this youth leadership organization. The trip was supposed to last 5 days, but our flight back home was delayed a full 22 hours. We ended up staying in a hotel and playing Cards Against Humanity. I think the prompt had something to do with the worst line on a first date or something like that. One of us answered yeast. We laughed for 10 full minutes and my sides hurt for the rest of the night. How was your day, yeast? My mom once said boo to my dad who kept hiccuping to make him stop. She said it in the most innocent and pure way that we couldn't stop laughing. The laughing went on for like an hour though. Years ago I was having drinks with my best friend when she developed the hiccups. I told her I would have to scare her. About 5 minutes later, I told her I had something very serious to talk to her about. She leaned in, looking a little worried. I sighed heavily and said, "You're pregnant." Her eyes got huge, and in a panicked voice she asked, "I am?" Question mark. She immediately realized her mistake, but it was too late. I was dying laughing. Literal tears running down my face. I couldn't pull it together. It's still a memory that makes me giggle, and the best part is it worked. Her hiccups stopped. I don't remember the context, but my best friend and I, then in our preteen/early teens, were flopping around on her bedroom floor and screaming fish out of water. We insisted on showing her mom, who looked at us like we were on meth. I almost passed out. I could not breathe from laughing so hard. In high school, a guy at my table was asked if he ever had sex, and with the most straight face said no, but I've seen dogs do it. His frankness and deadpan attitude made me laugh so hard, and for so long I was worried that I was going to pass out. Was this in Northwest Pennsylvania? I think I know that kid. I didn't question my sanity, but I got stuck in a laughing loop with my then 1-year-old son. He was laughing at my laugh, and I was laughing at his. It was the better part of an hour and we were both exhausted afterward. It was over 30 years ago and it still makes me some when I think about it. This reminds me of a sleepover I had in middle school. There wasn't enough couch space for all of us girls to sleep on. So me and a few of my friends were on the floor. I can't explain why, but everything I heard was hilarious. I laughed until it hurt to smile. I justified it by saying that everything is funny on the floor. So we all took turns lying on the carpet and laughing our asses off. The people on the couch started laughing at the people on the floor, and the people on the floor were laughing because the people on the couch were laughing. It still holds true today, everything really is funny on the floor. A few weeks back I was taking a shower and I looked at my foot and it just looked so stupid that I started laughing and couldn't stop. Like I had these weird pull-like failed hands attached to my legs and they were so ridiculous looking. And I was just going around with my body ending that way. I laughed at my foot for about 5 straight minutes. My family was eating at Red Robin. My grandpa told a great joke. I laughed so hard that I shit my pants. I was like 5. My dad took me to the restroom and asked if they were my lucky underwear. I said no, cut them off with his pocket knife, cleaned me up, and went back out to finish our food. This is the end bloopers when they are talking about their religion and Craig Robinson says, and Dan is Muslim and Danny McBride just says shalom. It's not even that funny, but I lose my shit every single time. It was a windy day, and I was eating a bagged lunch with my coworkers. Suddenly a huge gust of wind blows the bag and all my food away, leaving me staring at an empty table with a fork in my hand. I didn't even try to catch it. I just started laughing so hard I had to lay on the ground. The ability to laugh at my own pain is like my only superpower. I read a meme asking if Norwegian clowns say HJNK. My girlfriend speaks fluent Norwegian and told me how that would be pronounced. Kind of a he-on-k. I thought I was going to pass out from lack of air due to laughing. I'd catch a grip every now and then and a quiet eong would corpse me into laughing harder. My friend and I were watching Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs when we were about 12. There's a scene in that movie where a giant bowl of water spills on everybody sitting in bleachers, and there's a guy in the splash zone ready to get wet, except everybody except him gets splashed instead, and he throws his hat on the ground and yells, "Oh, come on." My friend and I laughed our asses off at this, and this eventually led to us replaying a ton of scenes in slow motion, zoomed in, etc. There was a scene in South Park where they are trying to get a whale to the moon. Long story, makes no sense. But there was one gag that the boys cannot get NASA to do it, so they go to NASA, the Mexican space agency. So, when the rocket takes off with the whale, some mariachis come out and play a song to celebrate. I don't know why, but it caught us off guard and a friend and me started laughing so hard and so long I thought I was going to die of asphyxia. It was late and my wife was driving us home. We passed by an R&W, a fast food chain with its own root beer. My wife said, "Hey, you know what R&W stands for?" And I said I assumed it was the initials of the founders. She said, "No, it's for hamburgers and would be," and I instantly and fully lost my shit. Her delivery was so cute, and I was so tired that I laughed about it for the entire rest of the 15-minute drive. For the next several days I was still giggling every time I thought about it. Late at night during a middle school sleepover, my friends and I started to play a board game called Worst Case Scenario. The cover has 2 pictures on it, one of a shark and one of a man running from a swarm of bees. Somebody pointed out it looked like the guy was running from the bee straight into the shark's mouth and we laughed for 10 minutes straight. The true worst case scenario. Many years ago, I went through about a week-long phase where I simply could not read my credit card number over the phone without laughing hysterically. No reason. It just started one day, then I think I got all up in my head and it just snowballed from there. Every time I tried to order food, confirm some travel reservation, whatever, I would start laughing, and it would take me forever to get through the number. The surprising thing was how infectious the laughter was. I thought the people on the other end of the phone would be annoyed, but probably 9 times out of 10 they'd start laughing too. It was like some virulent mindworm of contagious hysteria, and then just as suddenly as it started, it was over. Hasn't happened since, though I still brace myself every time. Just in case. Close bracket. I'm in Toys R Us with my 3-year-old who suddenly says she has to go to the bathroom. Oh no. Number 1 or 2? 2. I grab her hand and rush to find an employee. Do you have a bathroom? Question mark. Yes, but it's all the way on the other end of the store. I turn to my daughter, we got her run okay. Nah, don't worry. I blew it out. What's that now? I blew it out. I could barely carry my shitty daughter through the store because I was laughing uncontrollably. Had to ditch her pants and underwear in the bathroom garbage and carry her naked ass out with my coat wrapped around her waist. Still laughing hysterically. I must have looked absolutely insane. No. But way back when in high school the teacher wrote newspaper, but the A looked close to an O. So a kid laughed hysterically for a few minutes because it looked like newspaper, which is pretty funny, but I wouldn't say multiple minutes funny. I had a dream recently that a friend of mine spent 2 full hours focusing intensely hard on writing something down. When he was finally finished, he showed it to me in a 5-year-old's handwriting in crayon. The page simply read apple dear dognuts. I laughed so hard I woke myself up crying. This actually happened to me and a friend of mine. We were high and typing random phrases into Google Translate. He suggested I type in dingleberries and translate it to Spanish. It translated to Bayas del Dingle. For some reason we lost our shit at that. I don't think we stopped laughing for half an hour. My head was throbbing from laughing so hard and my lungs hurt. I was reading a list, probably on BuzzFeed IDK, and it was one of those that had alternate names for things, like danger noodle for snakes etc. And I got to volcano equals mountain fountain and I legitimately laughed for 20 minutes. Had to pee, cried, couldn't breathe, the whole works. I couldn't even think about it for weeks without cracking up again. My husband thought I had honestly lost my mind. I was breastfeeding my newborn in the middle of the night and watching Dave Chappelle. The Rick James skit was on. I cried, laughed so hard that my husband woke up and took the baby away because he was afraid I was going to drop him. He asked me what was wrong and I snorted him, Rick James bitch. He was not amused. I was cackling like a witch at a memory that wasn't even that funny. I just remembered I had accidentally called a cup of tea a cup of tea. What made me look insane was that I started bursting out laughing in the backseat of my mum's car when her and my sister was talking about how many people had died BC of the last pandemic. Yeah, that was probably horrific to hear. Please don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed watching this video. Leave your thoughts in the comments below.